All right. Now, I want to lay out the roadmap for you of where I see us going from here. And I think you're going to be really excited because, let's be honest, this is why we're all here, right? We are B2B sales magic after all. Now, we can definitely talk about and ask each other for advice on the other two components down at the end, but the sales parts are going to be our main emphasis, specifically referrals that lead to customers. So, what does that mean? Well, it starts with this principle here, that not all meetings are created equal, because there is a big difference between someone meeting with you because I called in a favor versus someone meeting with you because they believe you have the answer to their problems. And we all know the outcome of the meeting on the left. So how do we get the meeting on the right? And this is where the B2B community comes in, because it's really difficult to do that all by yourself. So I'm going to outline 4 key activities that we're going to do as a group together. And it doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or have a big team behind you. And it doesn't matter if you're selling to small businesses or big giant enterprise. Everybody in the group is going to be able to benefit from these 4 activities. And at each meeting, we're going to focus in on one member, and you get to choose which activity you want the rest of the group to help you with. Now, if you want to help with something other than networking or referrals, we can do that too. But everybody will get a turn being the focus member. So let me show you what the 4 activities are. So number 1, curated networking events. Now, you guys have seen me do this before. I am a big believer in matched networking events as opposed to just random socials. That way you have a better shot at meeting the right people. And by the way, our public events in March and September is always going to be 2 weeks after the 2 major conferences, Grow and Sell Well, which makes it a super easy follow-up opportunity from the people that you meet or didn't get a chance to meet in those conferences. And the big takeaway I want you to think through from a strategy perspective is, who do you want to meet? Because that way we as a community know who to invite to these activities, to these events to help you out. So here's a very simple thought exercise. Our next public social, who do you want to meet there? Is it a potential customer? Is it a potential referral partner, marketing amplifier? All of them, maybe? So we as a group have 3 months to try to help you find those people and invite them to the social. Next, the second activity is a review of your networking strategy. For example, maybe you're trying to meet people one-on-one. Now, if that's the case, do you have thought leadership samples that your referral partners could potentially send them? Or maybe if you're looking for referral partners, do you have a partners page like InfoFluency does? Or maybe you're looking for one-to-many opportunities like speaking opportunities or getting on a podcast or getting featured in a newsletter or something like that. Then do you have thought leadership content ready to go when those opportunities come up? Do you have an updated LinkedIn or bio or something like that? All this to say, there's a checklist of items that the group can help you with to make sure that you can maximize the opportunities that come your way. So here's an example of a very common referral email asking for a meeting. And here's a second example with just one additional sentence down at the bottom. Now, let me play the short video for you here.
It's too often people just think it's like the Billy Idol approach to revenue. With a rebel yell, they cry more and more and more.
Yes,
it's not supposed to work that way. So you need to think through your revenue. Like, what revenue do you really want? It's okay if you want more and get more if you have the right revenue.
Yeah.
But, there's a couple of things that we'll get into as far as why is it so hard? And if it's really hard to grow your business and new revenue, then you need to step back and go, what is that telling me about my product, my approach, or my market? Do my customers really not want what I have?
Yeah.
And so stepping back and dissecting the strategy of your revenue, what markets you're in, what markets you want to be in, and maybe even what markets you don't even know you should be in.
Okay. Now, seeing this side by side, how many of you want to be introduced the second way with the video? There's only one sentence that's different, but that link to that 60-second thought leadership makes all the difference. Especially if you remember, the goal is to position you as someone who has the answer to their problems. So here's a simple thought exercise. What pain point do you solve? Just pick one. And then think about how you can turn that into a 60-second thought leadership piece. That's the length of a TikTok video, but that video is going to pay huge dividends when it comes to referrals. Now, I know this can sound like a lot of work, a lot of things you're going to have to do, a lot of homework items, but that's why we're going to do it together, one step at a time, because I don't want you to have to do it all by yourself. Next, third activity, targeted persona feedback. Now, the main point here is, are you targeting the right persona? And what do they really think about your messaging or your demos or your emails or something like that? Because there's nothing like getting actual, direct, honest feedback, which is something that I learned as a product owner. After conducting like 5 or 10 user interviews, you'll uncover like 90% of all the objections. And I'm really excited about this because we've all been in business for a while. So within this community and our networks, it's very likely that we can connect each other to someone that matches your target persona. In fact, I'm pretty sure just within B2B Sales Magic, we've got a lot of those personas covered already. Now, if you're selling to the mid-market, you're probably going to want to get feedback from multiple personas because at the mid-market level, you're probably going to face buying committees like the CEO, the CFO, and probably somebody else. So you'll probably want to get multiple persona feedbacks. And this is one activity where it's actually helpful if you find a persona that doesn't think they have a problem or already has an existing supplier. Because guess what? In B2B services, those are probably the two biggest friction points that you're going to run into. They either don't think they have a problem or you're going to have to unseat somebody. So getting feedback on what it's going to take to overcome those objections from your target persona, to me, is like priceless. Now, the one caveat here, though, is you cannot sell, you cannot market to them unless they explicitly consent. So don't go and add them to your newsletter or your email list unless they explicitly ask for it. So let's do a simple thought exercise. Who is your target persona? Do you face buying committees? So where you may have to do multiple personas? Number 2, what do you want feedback on? Is it an ad campaign? Is it a webinar? Is it a discovery call? Or maybe you're just wanting to do peer research, which is perfectly fine as well. And lastly, what questions do you want answers to? So just think about that. Okay. Lastly, once you've got all the pieces in place, this is where you can execute the last activity, which is the referral-based prospecting, as opposed to the typical cold outreach prospecting that a lot of us probably do. And this activity ties everything together and it gives you that unfair advantage compared to everybody else. And I'm just going to show you this through a very simple example. Let's say hypothetically, my friend Bert wants to sell to Catherine. And let's say I only recently met Catherine. Well, I can ask Catherine for a favor right now and ask her to meet my friend Bert, but we all know how that meeting's going to go, right? So instead of doing that, what we can do is start doing something like this. Let's first find out how Catherine buys. So let's go through Bert's and I's network, and maybe we stumble on a vendor that's sold to Catherine before. And let's do a persona feedback interview. So during that research, we find out these key facts. Catherine uses a buying committee. She has a vendor approval process. Her budget season starts in May, which means in September, we just missed the window. And she already has a fractional CFO, which means Bert is going to have to unseat somebody. And that's going to mean a much tougher sell for Bert. Now, to me, how would you like to know all of this information before the meeting? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, this is why you need a community to help you, because trying to get all this information by yourself is really difficult. But if you can pull on people in the community, it becomes much easier. And that's not all. Now, if the budget season is in May, should I introduce Bert to Catherine right now in September? I mean, no, right? It's way too early. So what's the play then? Well, the play is to build awareness. Now you can do that through LinkedIn, webinars, and newsletters. And because, we found out that Catherine is a big fan of 10x is easier than 2x, Bert can create a post on that. And for me, it's as simple as just tagging Catherine on Bert's post to raise awareness as we wait for the right time to reach out. Another example could be getting Bert and Catherine at a conference together so that they can meet. And so now, come February or March, when I send this email, there's going to be a much better chance that this is going to land. And notice that me acting as a referral partner, I didn't actually have to do that much work. I mean, in addition to the email intro, I just tagged Catherine in a couple of posts. Maybe I invited Catherine to a conference, but that's pretty much it. The difference is that Bert and I coordinated on these activities. So, as a last thought exercise, a very simple question for you. What companies do you want to sell to? I mean, this is prospecting after all, so you might as well put together a list and start somewhere. All right, that's it for now. I will see you next time.